Hello everyone, this is Enormous with Tekdefense, and today for TekTip episode 5 we're going to hit up Backtrack 5 release 3 and see what was added. So a couple weeks ago Backtrack 5 release 3 came out, and of course there was a bunch of tool updates, I believe about 60 in all. So this list you're seeing over here on the right are all the tools that were updated or moved or added to the distro since release 2. These top ones up here are ones we're going to go over in finer details today. We'll just try to do a demo of each of these real quick. As you can see, they're all more passive and information gathering tools than anything else. But down here you'll notice underneath these are the rest of the tools. I wasn't able to really find a good list other than the actual update list or update process found over on the Backtrack site, but I'll throw this in the description of the video over at Tekdefense as well, so you can reference this for further details. So just named what the tool was and a slight description pulled from Backtrack site. The first tool we're going to take a look at today is inundator, and as the description here states, it is a false positive generator. So let's bring up the tool real quick, and as you can see, I've run this a couple times before just to make sure I understood what the commands were, but if you run the help portion, it's going to give you some of the options that you can use with this. So as you can see, it's going to, or as the name I guess suggests, it's going to send a bunch of traffic towards a host matching some signatures that you're specifying by telling it to look at a specific rule file, and by generating that traffic that looks like bad traffic, we're hoping that we'll confuse any analyst on the other side who happens to be looking at the sensor at that point in time, because all they're really going to see is just a whole bunch of rules firing, and within all that noise we can slide through with something less suspicious. So here again, to view the help, you can just do // inundator attack help, and it's going to give you the options. In our scenario, really not a whole lot we're going to do with this one. I've already ran the command before, so I'm just going to up to it. So for here, or for in this scenario, we're going to run inundator in verbose mode against Tekdefense.com, and then we're going to have it pipe that file out to log.txt, and I'm actually just going to make that log1 since I've done this before. So we'll let that run. It'll take a little bit to get started, and we'll give it about 30 seconds or so before we cancel it and check out that file. But as it's running, you can see these other options that you have here, so you can make it as noisy as you want. In addition, one of the cool things here is I can tell it which rules files to look at, so I can choose specific rules I want to fire by doing that. Alright, so hopefully it's run long enough for us to be able to get some information out of that log file. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that, ls, and you'll see I have log and log1.txt, and let's gedit log1.txt, and you'll see what it did. So it queues up the attack. It's looking for open ports on the IP that hosts Tekdefense.com, and then it's going to try to hit those ports with everything that's in that default snort rule directory. That's at etc snorts rule or snort rules. You see it go and try to hit it, and hopefully at this point we're causing so much noise to the analyst who happens to be looking at this that we can slide by with something that may not necessarily be caught because they're too busy dealing with the hundreds of thousands of other alerts that just popped up. Next we're going to take a look at cutycapt. So moving over to cutycapt. This is somewhat useful in pen tests if you need to do some batch screenshot takes in over a course of several websites in order to prove where you've been or whatever it happens to be. The only situations I've used it in so far is scanning for internal web servers on during a pen test, and then just screenshotting each of them so the customer could then see what internal web servers are out there that maybe they didn't know about. So again, we'll // it. // with a capital C, and we'll do a TekTip help to see the options. So again, really useful tool, and a whole lot of options going on here. The two that are absolutely necessary to be able to run this are these two here. So you have to give it a URL, and you have to give it a target file and path to place it. So again, using Tekdefense as the example, let's go up to one I've already done, and you'll see here I've done cutycapt URL tekdefense.com, and we'll just name this to yyy.png. And I do get this error, but it runs fine. So if we go here to the cutycapt directory and we go to yyy, you'll see that it's screenshotted the website. At tekdefense.com. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at rainbowcrack. Rainbowcrack is it cracks hash with rainbow table that you specify. This tool is brought to you by the same guys that do the crowdsource rainbow tables over at freerainbowtables.com. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a rainbow table installed or downloaded on this machine right now. It's I just brought it back up, and these are kind of large, so I don't have it with me, and plus I don't have my external drive that has my main rainbow table in it. So I can't really demonstrate this for you, but I just wanted to show you that it is there and it was added. These are the options for running the tool here, and here are a couple examples here. So where it says *.rt, that's where you would obviously put the path and name of the actual rainbow table you'd like to check the hash against. You can do a single hash, or you can do multiple hashes at once by loading a text file if you're choosing with all the hashes in it. So again, if you want to get your hands on a rainbow table, you can get one over here at freerainbowtables.com, and they're pretty large, so be aware of that. But beyond that, it's a really good resource if you're doing any hash dumps. Okay, so moving on from rainbowcrack, we're going to take a look at twofi. So this will take multiple keywords and check them against Twitter to make word lists for them or out of them, which could then be used as password lists or anything else you might use a word list for. So to show you what we got here, so /twofi.ruby, and let's TekTip help this guy to see the options. So here are our options, but what we're really going to be using here, besides if you want to output it to a separate file or something, is the TekTip to give it the terms that we want to use. So for instance, if we wanted to do show us a word list for cyber since that's an awesome keyword or buzzword right now. And security, you have to separate it out by commas. Enter, and it's going to take a look through Twitter, combining that keyword cyber security to find relevant words that could be used for a dictionary attack or something of that matter. Now, obviously, you'll probably want to just pipe this out like so to dictionary .txt, and you'll see that it's right there. So let's gedit that guy. And here are the words that I was able to pull together based on our terms. So our next tool that we're going to take a look at is UberHarvest. So what this one does is it'll crawl through websites like a normal search engine spider would, looking for email addresses usually, and once it finds any, it'll report those back. But in addition, it's also going to look at some of the MX record for the server that the email is hosted at to see if it's an open relay or not, and some other cool little things like that. So let's check out UberHarvester real quick. So /UberHarvest help. Alright, so a pretty extensive help file here. And it's walking you through all the different options that you have. So to do this against multiple websites at once, do attack L, and then it's going to look for a specific file called web.txt unless you name it something else. So there's a Vault folder, which you'll see up here, Vault directory, which I've thrown Tekdefense.com in that web.txt, but you could put as many as you want in there. So let's do our UberHarvest tac L. Now it's going to ask us some questions. It's kind of interactive. So will we just do the specific domain, or are we going to look for random email addresses within this search? So we'll look for random, no matter, as long as the email address is at Tekdefense.com, or is within the Tekdefense.com website. We'll take a look. Would you like to save it to a text file? No, we'll just put it to screen. And do we want to look for emails with links that belong to just the website or other links as well? So we'll look at other links, anything that I link off of at Tekdefense. And would you like to load the text web.txt? So yes, we would. So it loaded web.txt and found my site. Then it found that Tekdefense.com also references these sites. So right now it's going ahead and taking a look at each of these sites to see if it can find any email addresses on them, and in addition it's going to give us some other information about those websites. There's SecurityTube, and it should end pretty quickly here since none of these sites have email addresses on them. Alright, so it finished up. Let's expand this so you can see it better. So these are the sites that it found. You'll see a couple of email addresses that it found based on all these sites that it looked at. And it's not too many, actually. And of course you're going to see DNS records. Look at that MX record, and it would check to see if these are open relays and let us know if they are. And it's doing the same thing for SecurityTube here. So a neat little tool. To be honest, I like the Harvester better than this. So if you haven't checked out the Harvester, check that one out, because that one's just gonna look at LinkedIn, looked at public Facebook profiles, Google itself, to see if they can find any email addresses or domains that match a certain criteria that you specify. Alright, so moving on to Jigsaw. So this is another neat one, another information gathering one, where you're able to see information about specific companies. So let's go ahead and fire it up. And you'll see here we have Jigsaw. Let's show you the options. Dot slash, not comma slash. Okay, so here are our options. So you can put the ID of a company if you already know it. You can search for a company to get the ID, and then you can choose how you want the report outputted, and if you want some verbose logging, you can do that as well. So say we don't know the company ID, and the company ID is an arbitrary thing. It's by Jigsaw themselves. So let's do TekS and search Microsoft. Okay, so now you see we'll have a bunch of IDs for each any company that had Microsoft in its name. So just to keep it simple, we'll go with the top one. So now that we know the specific one we want to go with, let's do attack I and 210353, and it's going to run through and tell us what domains it's looking for and ask us which domain we want for the emails that it crafts. So we're just going to go with live.com. We'll let this run for a second. So kind of like UberHarvest, Jigsaw does an alright job, but I really do like the Harvester more than I like Jigsaw. When I took a look at so this is a Ruby script, I went and took a look at the Ruby script to see how it was pulling the information, and really all it's doing is doing jigsaw.com, and it's adding some particular strings in to do a search. So see here where we can search for a company. And this is our guy here. So it looks like it's pulling the information out of here. This is something I guess you probably have to register for, or maybe even pay for to get normally. But via whichever method, they're able to craft the URI in such a fashion that we can get the information we need, and then it parses it out, and I think it adds the email tag at the end, the domain portion of the email tag. So let's see, where was I at? Right here. And it's still trying. So we're gonna let it pause for a second, and once it comes back up, I'll let you know. Okay, so it looks like it was timing out for me earlier, but luckily I ran this query previously, and here's what we got. So here's an example of the results. So the good thing is here now we could grep through this to find a particular billet we were looking for. If you're looking to target somebody in sales, or if we're looking to target somebody as an engineer, whatever our target happens to be, or maybe we're looking on the more physical side, and we want to know people that are in a specific place, we could grep through this to find that. Of course, we can export this in several fashions, and then put it in a place a little more manageable if we wanted to. But here's the error I got, just so you can see. Connection timed out, so it looks like I wasn't able to pull it from the website, and I'm trying again now, but I doubt that's going to come through. So we'll leave this minimized, but you got to see the gist of it. So the last tool we're going to take a look at is urlcrazy. So what this will do is I'll give it a domain name, and it'll look at close or domain names that closely resemble it. So where Google, where you misplace the O and put a 0, or the key next to L, so you hit a K on accident. So it looks up all the variations of that to let you know, if anybody's trying to trick your users into going to their site by having a very similar name. May also give you some good ideas of names that you could take for somebody's site. So let's go over to that tool. And wrong one. There we go. So this one takes a long time to run. So I went ahead and ran it beforehand just to show you. So as you can see, here are your options. So nothing too crazy here, but yeah, these are the options that you have. You can export to a CSV if you wanted to, versus having an export in this fashion down here. But so what I did here is did a urlcrazy tag P, so I could see the Google popularity for Tekdefense.com, and let's see what else is out there. So we have Tekdefense, Tekdefense. Alright, so here are all the different ways that someone could have spelled Tekdefense.com, and based on the IP here, the A record, I'm going to go ahead and assume they're all bought by like GoDaddy and Parked, or it's all a similar person who bought most of these. Character swap, character swap. Yep. And so it's telling you what they did as well over here. Vowel, singular, plural, bit flipping, and all the way down to TLDs, right? And some of these are actually going to be me from buying the different variations of it, such as Tekdefense.net. But yeah, so that's what urlcrazy does. Really fun tool to play around with. So most of these tools are information gathering ones, but if you look through the list, there's obviously some really cool tools for mobile hacking, and even some physical stuff that was talked about at the latest Black Hat conference. So hopefully we'll go through those soon. I've been having a lot of fun with Subterfuge, so if that's something you guys would like to see, definitely let me know, and we could show some man-in-the-middle attacks with this new framework here. But beyond that, thanks for tuning in for this episode. Let me know if you have anything you want to cover or want covered in the future, and I'd be more than happy to hit that up. We'll get back to malware analysis soon, so for those of you waiting for the continuation of that series, it'll be out here shortly. In addition, I want to hit up some honeypots and how we can use them to gather samples, and maybe even some mid or high interaction SSH honeypots like Kippo or something like that, where we could not only have attackers come in, but be able to replay it and watch what they're doing, and analyze how those attackers are doing what they do. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and hit me up at enormous@tekdefense.com, or just make a comment on the post wherever you happen to watch it, whether it be YouTube, SecurityTube, or Tekdefense.com, and I'll reply back to that. Thanks.